And I say it as I see it. Oh my God, I just used his tagline. How did I do that? I so did. I won't do that. I'll
straight talker.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Anyway, and we're back in my little office. Such a fun place to be. Today we thought we would talk a little bit about the Regional Council and what it looks like for that maybe not to exist in the next 12 to 18 to 2 years. It's not very far away. It feels a little scary because my understanding, and as we know, we don't do loads of research, that's why I have Sarah here, is anything regional covers our whole region, and by getting rid of it, it feels like we're giving our mayors of the 3 different district councils way too much power. So anyway, we love for you to comment, love for you to engage, just don't be a dick about it because it's not how we roll. But let's just kind of unpack the value of the Regional Council and what it might actually look like if we didn't have one.
Well, yeah, if we go back to 1989, prior to that there was 860 odd councils across New Zealand. There were some major reforms. It got packed down into 67 district councils essentially, and 11 regional councils with a few unitary authorities. And the thought around regional councils is that they undertook those issues that were region-wide.
Right. So the whole of Taranaki.
You think biosecurity, a pest plant, it could blow across the region.
Well, we've had it. We had, I don't know whether there was some tree, something rather, seed thing that happened not only a few years ago. And
freshwater flows between districts and buses run between districts, which is why the Regional Council has got the remit for buses.
Right.
So essentially, Regional Council is a body that looks after our wellbeing through our environmental stewardship and environmental protectionism.
And I know they have had to find different councils at different times for things that they haven't done right. As well, eh? So I mean, if they go and the district councils are taking care of everything, who's kind of keeping an eye on what they're not doing right?
There's less accountability in the system. Like if you look at New Plymouth District Council is the largest landowner in New Plymouth district. So the Regional Council monitors the responsibilities that the NPDC has for biosecurity, and for ensuring that the water is nice and clean so we can swim in it.
Right.
So the unitary authorities share that those responsibilities, but they will still have functions within that unitary authority that ensure that there is compliance.
Okay.
So there's ways to work around that. But essentially what we've got here in Taranaki is 4 councils, 3 territorial authorities and 1 regional council.
So I actually watched the news announcement, the press, what do they call it? Press release. That's the word I was looking for. That Chris Bishop did. And one of the things that they mentioned, and I know that's really random that I watched that, but I actually did that day. One of the things that they mentioned was the cost of, it will save money because they're not going to have the separate kind of administration thing going on between the regional council and then the 3 district councils. But wouldn't it make more sense to look at amalgamating the district councils into a district-wide council rather than 3 district councils and then a regional council doing it that way?
I think there is no one in New Zealand who's arguing that there is not a need for reform.
Right.
There is 100% need for reform because local government's broken.
Yeah.
We know this, right? So there was a future local government review done it was released in June 2023. And within that, it has recommended that where local communities support it, there is a case for amalgamation.
Right.
So to create efficiencies, right?
Yeah.
So, but if we're going to create efficiencies, to my way of thinking, you would take that problem and then you would look at the best way to find a solution. And I think what the government's trying to push through with targeting the regional council is taking the problem and then going in through the back door, the long way.
Right.
And it's to my way of thinking and to many other people, if you've already got a regional council, then that's your seed base, that's your foundation for amalgamation.
Okay, so do it the other way.
I'm thinking of the fact that we just went through an election and we just put regional councillors in place, and now the government's going, oh no, actually let's just give it all to the mayors. Yeah. Well, huge respect for a lot of mayors, but pretty sure they didn't sign up to be
to take on the regional council stuff.
Yeah,
because they
regional
focus on
council
really
remit's
different.
huge.
Yeah, right. Okay, and they focus on really different things. I mean, they have directorships at the port. They look after the water. They look after, like you said, the buses, air, and if there's pollution and things in the rivers, they actually fine the councils.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you get rid of that, you're also getting rid of a whole accountability base, and giving way too much power, it feels like to me, to 3 people in the region.
Yeah.
And I know it won't just be the 3 mayors. Like, they did only talk about having the 3 mayors on the new board or whatever it would be called, but it would have to be a whole lot more people than that.
Yeah,
one would imagine.
It sounds like,
because otherwise it's like, oh, let's Donald Trump the country.
Yeah,
and just give 3 people the power.
So a lot of it is still to come. We can talk about this after the RMA reform is also handed down,
Right.
Because a lot of this will become clearer once the RMA reform is clearer.
Yeah.
But I think the reason, this is my personal opinion, that we haven't seen that RMA reform come down, and the reason we're seeing a bit of a cluster of reform idea is because government don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, the RMA, they talked about
understand.
that at least 2 elections ago when I was involved in one of the elections on the committee, and they were talking about RMA way back then. So they're kind of sitting with it. Must be a really hard one to deal with, and they just don't quite know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially the government campaigned on localism.
Yeah.
Which is us local people having a voice.
Yeah.
But every single decision they've made recently around local government is the exact opposite of localism.
True.
So again, I think it's appealing to their voter base. I think it's relying on the fact that they're rolling out reform fast.
Mm-hmm.
It seems complicated. The consultation periods are out over summer. So how engaged are a lot of people going to be?
Not me. I'll be on holiday. Yeah, which is, of course, is what I think are probably what they're counting
betting on. Yeah. So there's more to see here, and we can do another video about it when the RMA
when there's more
lands.
information.
Yeah.
I think the other scary part of this is, and it happens every time, like I'm not saying that this new council particularly is more experienced than what we've had before, but there has been some very specific and loud campaigning over certain things, and then all of a sudden these councillors have now got in, and the government's kind of chucking stuff at them, and then they're kind of going, oh crap, that's actually completely opposite to what I campaigned for, and they've had it taken out of their hands, which is a problem, because some of the councillors, I think, have got in and not actually realised that it's just not like running a business. I know there was 2 or 3 in particular that talked about balancing the books, but it's not all about that. It's about what's actually coming at you from central government and the legislation rules and everything else that goes on.
So
it's a bit of a cluster, and I don't mean a lot of. Yeah,
let's try doing an LTP with a rates cap. And then let's fire all the regional councillors at the same time and get that mayor who's trying to do rates cap with an LTP to also oversee land and water and air for the entire
could
region.
Be quite scary, and it's not just scary for the councillors; it's scary for us who pay our rates.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
and and that a lot of it goes back to accountability and transparency. And I know there's a lot of elected members that are transparent and accountable. But we've still got a long way to go, and some of the newer elected members learning how to be transparent and accountable to us,
and actually saying what they mean in a way that we understand it and don't misinterpret it for them to sound racist and bigoted.
Yeah,
because I've heard a couple of comments that make me think that, and that's probably not exactly what they meant, but that's how they come across.
Yeah,
so,
well, I mean,
note to self, councillors, just be careful with your words.
Yeah, I mean, on top of all this reform, you've got people who are inexperienced and aren't prepared to stand behind what they've actually
campaigned on
and are saying.
Yeah.
Like I had a classic interaction recently with a councillor who I asked a question and they're refusing to answer it. Yeah. Which I don't think is good enough.
No, I agree. You don't get to do that. Okay, you're learning. You might have said the wrong thing, but own it and discuss it so that we understand exactly where you're coming from, because you did get voted in, so you do have a responsibility.
Well, give this person a little bit more time to come back to me. If they don't, I'll let everyone know.
I know there's there is media out there that are doing lots of interviews with councillors. I implore you to actually not cut and paste and actually put out there what they're saying and how they're saying it as they're saying it, because for me as a ratepayer following along with council, and I know not a lot of people do, but some of us are interested. I want to know what they're actually saying, not what comes out and sounds nice and polite, because that's not going to help anybody when it comes around to election time next time for who you're going to vote for, because you want to know what they're authentically doing.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think at a time of massive reform, everything's up in the air. Central government's consulting in the sector.
Yeah.
We're looking at losing localism and placemaking and getting to be able to make our own decisions on the ground, that we need elected members that can prove to us that they are transparent and accountable and will stand by what they say.
Absolutely.
So, there's a lot more to come down the line.
But we can't fit it all in 10 minutes, and that's how long we give ourselves.
Yeah. We've already gone over. How does time go so fast?
I don't know. It goes quite quickly.
So what we'll do, we'll come back after the RMA has dropped.
Yeah.
The reforms have dropped, and we'll unpack the regional council / how it might look in the next 2 years, and try and give people a little bit more of an understanding around that. And there's a lot of implications for Hapu and Iwi as well, and Treaty of Waitangi.
Okay, I'll be interested in that.
I need to do a big unpack on that.
Okay. And I'd actually like to invite anybody who watches these videos, and I'd like to think it's not just us talking to our camera with our 6 little microphones on for the hell of it. If you have questions or want to know stuff, message us and we can unpack them. I will do it my usual fashion, where it's, fairly cheeky.
Also meet you out there somewhere in the community and have a chat as well.
Yeah. Because, this is just of interest. There is nothing behind any of this. We're not doing this. Nobody's paying us. We're literally sitting in my office. I have positioned myself so you don't get to see my ugly printer quite so badly. And it's just for a bit of fun, but it's also for a bit of education, because that was one of the big things that we both decided when people are voting. They're not doing it from an educated place or an informed place. They're doing it from, let's just pick a number and hope for the best. Well,
and we've got 34 months before the next election to keep unpacking.
Yeah, so watch the space. Anyway, nice to see you. We'll be back again.
Bye.